What is happening? What's good, man?
What's happening? Dude, that's a great intro. I saw a few of my buddies on there. So, dude, I'm
Yeah.
honored to be on here after seeing that lineup.
Definitely some rock stars, right? And you're no different. So it's going to be great. Great conversation. Looking forward to it, and talking about how we plan your escape.
Yeah,
Get
love
you
it.
out of the heat.
It gets out of this desert, man. The desert is not the promised land, right? Like you have to leave the desert to get to the promised land. It's interesting running the business in the desert. There's a lot of analogies.
Yeah. Is what's business like when it gets that hot?
It's here. I was actually just talking to a client yesterday about this. Like, there's this illusion that the summer dies down in Arizona, but when you really get into the data, it's the rich don't sell real estate. They go to San Diego, they go to Coronado, like we go to the East Coast, right? My family and I, we go to the East Coast. So if you're selling very expensive homes or buying and selling, it just shuts down during the summer. But regular real estate, it's kicking, it's going, it's really cranking. But we have enough, let's call it over $600 a square foot homes that just die. Like they're like, I ain't selling my $7 million home when it's 130.
Yeah.
That actually affects the whole market. Everybody thinks price per square foot goes down, but it doesn't. So regular people like me, you, like we're buying, we're moving, but you're like, no, I'll sell my $6 million home when I come back. That's
Yeah.
actually, there's enough of those in Arizona that affects the perception of the market.
Gotcha. That's interesting. And you would think about like even dealing with clients up north, right, during the winter, and I mean, it's still slinging, still things going on. One of the things that we kind of picked up on working with some of the clients up there, a lot of their sphere business doesn't do anything when it gets cold, but
Gotcha.
people that have to get in
Yeah.
and get out, the have tos in that are in every market, no matter what the season of the market is, it doesn't matter. The have to, but a
Yeah.
lot of the sphere based and referral based stuff that we've seen, just paying attention to it, typically happens when it's a little bit nicer up north. So,
Do you think that's more like anecdotal, right? Because it's more of a smaller sample size, and then the masses, like you said, there's just less of your sphere in the have tos, maybe.
I would think so. The good thing about understanding that and knowing that is, where's your marketing focus during that time, right? They do things during the winter to stay top of mind, but they really hit them hard. When we know we're building up, and then a lot of the thank yous coming out. We just want to stay top of mind.
Yeah.
But otherwise, then it's just, a lot of ad driven, during the have to stuff, a little more have to, messaging, which is still more year round, but more of an emphasis on that. So it's kind of cool to understand. It's just like what the example you gave in the desert, your high end is, they're going to wait till it cools down. But let's get into the meat of the market and that message to them and keep going.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Dude, so man, we were just chatting before we came live. I mean, I'm right behind you. You got me by almost a year from being licensed, 20-year vet. So
Yeah.
we've seen a lot.
Dude, we've seen 3 or 4 market cycles, and it's crazy. Like, it's really cool to see. It's the age thing, right? Like, I'm 46, so you start to see a lot of your buddies in this age. You're like, dude, we've been at this 20 years. Like, and now we're seeing all these 20-something-year-olds coming up. But just to sit back, be like, what have we seen and done? And then obviously we don't feel that old, right? My kids, we have 5 kids, so they think I'm old.
Yeah.
Like, you're getting old when you stand up. You're like, well, that was a bad idea. I stood up too fast. Like, you probably don't experience that, like, because you're super fit and active. But I'm at that age where I'm like, I gotta sit up a little bit slower.
A little slower. I gotta move a little bit slower.
But yeah, 20 years. I'm humbled by the fact I've been done it this long and how much I've seen. It's really a good time. It's right. It's a great time to get to that point where you're like, struggle's over. Now, how do we give back? How do we just evolve? But we're not so fearful like we were in those first days. It's a fun place to be. And we've earned it. I mean, geez, you've earned it. Like, one of the things I love about you, I was like, we were talking about when I met you, it was in September of 18 and you were speaking down in Texas, I was like, man, this dude is a go-getter. Like I was intimidated by like all these events that you were doing in Ironmans. And like, I really love being around high achievers. And honestly, I didn't have that for the first 10, 12 years of my career. I was just stuck in a Remax office doing my own thing. And I wasn't around these badasses. Right. So that move to EXP in 18 really introduced me to some badass people like yourself included. And that's been far more rewarding to get around those people and try to start chasing people who are just crushing it, So I really have I look at like two different careers, like my first 15, 14 years, just doing the solo thing. Like I had a team, right? But like, I wasn't like in this community that we are now, where I'm like, gosh, this community is just filled with such incredible people. I feel like that's been a second chapter in my life, second career, right?
Yeah.
You get around rock star rooms, you're like, gosh, I've been leaving a lot out there.
Yeah.
Like, it's no different than me. I could have run that Ironman, but I didn't have anybody in my life pushing me to go do that, right?
Yeah, it's getting in those rooms and being around the people and inspiration and seeing what's possible. But then you get to kind of make those connections and have the conversations. You're like, this dude's just a regular dude. Like he's just like me, right? Like he got his flaws just like I got my flaws, and maybe he was just in another room that helped him collapse time. Now I'm here. And I think though, the big thing is not being afraid to get in those rooms, but, fall back into kind of the gap in the gain concept of trying not to run that race and they're ahead of you. And that's kind of what, like on the endurance side of things for me, being, competitive, but not really trying to run somebody else's race and really being able to do that. And I think, the reason that I love, the pushing of the endurance side of things and basically essentially humbling yourself over and over and over again is that it just makes everything else in life that much easier, right? Like I don't fret over certain things, market conditions, and just kind of where I want to kind of, chat with you a little bit about is like, 20 years in, we've seen a lot. Right. We've seen a lot in the market. And so we have those experiences to draw on and being able to say, okay, I'm running into a challenge here. Oh, let me reflect back on how did I handle a similar situation like this in the past? And it's like, oh, we'll navigate over here. It's not the exact same. It's a close cousin. I recognize it. There's a constraint. Let's try this and just continue to work through it. I think it helps from a mindset perspective. And what I've noticed, it just allows us to see moves into the future, right? It's the chess 5, 6, 7. It's the grandmaster 14, 15 moves ahead, right? And we start to see multiple moves ahead to be able to draw on and to pull in. So as you're kind of navigating things now, obviously life is different. Like we were chatting, got to get out of the desert, spend more time. How can I build and run virtually? But kind of where things are at. I mean, like what are you seeing multiple moves now and into the future?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we start to realize nothing's new. It's just a different form of it. It's just a different iteration when the changes in the market, like there's just going to be changes, but I don't think anything is that drastically new. Obviously, I think the big thing right now is this change in how we work with buyers and how we start to represent buyers when we never really had to go deep into a presentation with them and get them to work with us, right? Like this whole being a door opener. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about this proposed, NAR change, because we need to have good, clear conversations and expectations. And I went out to NAEA Live, and I love the process that we put together, that you guys put together. Like, here's your buyer consult, here's your seller consult. And so I'm a consult guy, and some people are fly by your pants. Like, what I got really clear with was I'm not going to work with somebody unless I do a consult, no matter what. And there's some people who are like, then forget it. I don't want to do it. Okay, then maybe we're not a good fit. But because I've always run a consult, I've been able to run the business the way I want to run it, right? I'm like, John, this is how I work. This is why I think you're going to love working with me. If we're not a good fit, that's okay.
Yeah.
but we're gonna set it up on my terms. So I've been able to run these last 2-3 years a pretty incredible business because of the way I consult and really understanding the consumer. I think I have a better understanding of the consumer than I did 20 years ago, right? And what people really, really want, right? Like if somebody really wants to buy a home, they really do. They don't want to just go look at some homes for decoration ideas. They're going to want to work with an expert who wants to do a consult. Would you agree? Like
I
it just smokes out the people who don't want to do this.
Yeah, wholeheartedly, man. And that was just part of the whole one, we had kind of gone down that path with CHSA, certified home selling advisors, because in the beginning we needed a repeatable system for listings so we could get Kinder out of the business. I mean, that's where CHSA came from. And so we needed not the meme, because at that time it was a lot of the meme monster presentations. Look, hey, we're top 10 in the world for this company. Look at all of my awards. Look at all my trophies that really don't mean anything. And that was a lot of the look at me presentations. But what we knew with that is that wasn't scalable. And if you ever had a desire to escape production, that you needed to have a duplicatable process. You needed a system for that. And that's where we went with CHSA. And so we got CHSA, and then we were like, okay, well, we need to do something for the buy side. So what is there anything really different? I know it's the exact same. You've got to consult, right, before you can do it. And what is it? It's if a doctor starts just operating on you without diagnosing you, that's malpractice. And so 95+% of real estate agents should be in jail for malpractice. If you really want to get to it, right? It's the exact same thing. And so I'm with you, man. I think it's the best thing that could ever happen for the industry, from a lift in professionalism. And so you look at kind of a recent NAR statistic on buyers, and over 50% of buyers want their agent to find them the ideal home. Well, you can't do that without sitting down and having, a tough conversation and asking some tough questions and thinking about their goals and future home ownership and cost of being there. Do you like cooking in? Do you like going out? Like lifestyle? What's important to you? And you don't know those things without sitting down and having a consultative conversation. And that's what really being a true expert is about.
Yeah.
And I think for like you and, really that embrace that, I mean, that's a differentiator for you, and being able to do that, now, past, now, and into the future.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what led me down to where I'm at now, this different iteration, like that agent to CEO. Right. And now I've taken a different spin on it, where I really have figured out how to sell a lot of houses by myself, but not doing just a small percentage of the work.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's kind of, I don't know if we want to get into that journey, but that's what we're talking about led me to say, well, what if I could do 200 consultations and that's all I do?
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't hand them off to an agent. I actually outsource it for pennies on the dollar in all these different ways. And I'm still their agent, but I'm not stepping out of the office. Right. So that's what I kind of developed 3 years ago, because I was like, all of these people deserve the best consultations we can do, the best level of service, and really a realtor who's not financially compromised, which you and I know so many realtors are financially compromised. So like the old way, the MREA way, is like, go get a bunch of agents. And I did that. I got to a team of 13, but then it was like, wait, we're having a lawsuit over solar? Like, you tell them they had a solar lease. It's in the MLS. There's actually an addendum. Like, huh? And now I'm getting trashed on Zillow because it's like, oh, don't work with these guys, because true story, an agent closed a deal with solar. It had a 29-year lease left, and they thought it was free and clear. I'm like, how did we get here? Right. But because I wanted leverage. So it's like, so you work with this person, you work with this person. Like one of my best friends, I just saw his daughter is listing with one of my old agents, because when he came to me, he's like, can you help my daughter? I'm like, sure, good friend. You'll work with this person. So now that agent and that daughter have developed a relationship. So, now that, when I parted ways with her 10 months ago, natural conclusions that she works with that person. So that is my, like that. Now that's my passion, right? Like I'm going to keep selling houses. Last year, I had the privilege of selling 76 houses, but I did it with a lot of leverage, without leaving the office, without opening doors, without going out there. And I think that's what the consumer, I know that's what the consumer wants. So when I
Yes.
prove to them, would you rather I give you to an agent that sold 8 houses? Or would you rather work for me with me? And I've sold 1,500, but I will not be in the house. Clear decision was, I want you to navigate this, to negotiate it, to make sure this goes right. Dave, I don't care who opens the door to the house. And
Yeah.
that was such a shift in my business. I trimmed down from an organization of 13 to me and 5 full-time employees that just support me. And I'm not babysitting realtors anymore. I'm not handing off deals, and I'm not outsourcing those future relationships like I just did, where my
Yeah.
buddy's daughter doesn't want to work with me because she never met me. Right. And so I think the industry needs a big change as to how we do leverage. That's really now what I'm up to. That's really my passion. It's like, all right, realtors, let me show you how to sell 70 homes, make $1 million, and don't leave the office, and don't train and hire and train and hire, and just surround yourself with a support system for really low pennies on the dollar. Right.
Yeah. I think it's a mindset shift first, right? That's where everything happens, right? The first change is in the mind. And I have a longtime client that she came over to EXP with us in 19, and she's iconed every year. So 19, she came over 19, she iconed 20, 21, 22, 23. And very just routine. She loves her coffee and her computer in the morning, and she just works her database. She just loves on people, nudges on people, engages them into a conversation. And then obviously everything that happened in March of 20. And she kept doing what she was doing, having conversations. And it was hey, do you have an iPhone? Hey, can you just click? Let's just FaceTime real quick. Can you walk me through the property? And they're like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just started walking them through a little tour. Oh, I see that. Oh, going through and just having a great conversation, just talking through, and then sitting down and like, all right, so talk to me a little bit. What are you guys trying to do here? What are you trying? It goes right into the same thing that as agents we thought we had to be in the house.
Right.
Dave, she's iconed every year. Do you know how many homes? So icon, for those of you guys listening in with us at EXP, icon depends upon average sales price. Could be 7 to 10, whatever, 12 homes that you have to sell on your 20% of your goes towards your cap. Yeah. And then it's 20 full transactions after that, right? So if you're on a split with somebody, that's a half, right? But it's 20 full transactions. So it could be 25, 30, 35, whatever homes in that range to hit icon. She's iconed every year. You know how many homes she's been in since March of 20?
It doesn't sound like a lot.
2. She's been in 2. Yeah. And in 21, they moved to their dream home, multiple states away on the beach. So she lives in a beach house that she bought with her EXPI stock. That she literally, you walk out her front door. It's like we all say we want to live on the beach. She literally walks out her front door to the sand. And they've been living there. They were transit for about 21 to 22, been full-time 22 now. She's iconed every year. She's been in 2 homes since March of 20. And but it happened in her mind first. And 100%. She knew what was possible, and she didn't default back to the old. She just kept doing it. And, I want your take on this, because what she found, and I just wanted to share that story because people need to hear it from a mindset shift. Yeah. And what she found is that the sellers were more comfortable not having somebody come into their home, that they could be more comfortable in doing this than awkward and people coming in and somebody actually walking through their house. So that mindset shift for her and it's worked. It's still working. So for you, where was that aha, right? I got 13 agents. I got to do this. And don't get me wrong. I mean, there's so many ways to
so many ways.
But for you,
million ways. They all work, right? They all work. But the aha, so like two things on that. The aha for me was, again, like we go to Maine frequently for the summer. We get out of this melting heat in Arizona. We're like, we're going to die if we stay here. We really, I hate to say it because we sound like emotionally weak, but we start getting angry around this time of year. We're like, dude, it's 95.
Yeah.
It's awful. I had one of my boys, we have 5 kids. My boy had a baseball game last night. I'm like, it's 93 degrees. We're playing baseball in May. And my father-in-law, so we got family back in Maine, had 2 coats on, right, to go get the paper this morning. And I'm like, that's what we want. So we want to be there. So I had 6 summers now over there. And I first started with showing partners, right? We all know the showing partner model, like, hey, I'm your realtor, but John's going to open the doors for you. And I had that. But then, I've always been a listing guy. I've done like 600-700 listings and yeah, I like that. And when I was in Maine, I had just started a listing campaign and it was going well. So I'm like, well, let me try this model working with buyers with sellers. And I did like 59,000 for the month of June in seller commissions without seeing a house. So it was, this already works with buyers. Let's try the same concept with sellers. And I did a little bit differently than what she's doing, which I think is brilliant, but I would do a Zoom call. And it was less about, they felt less pressure because and I never told anybody I was in Maine. And like, I just put 2 buyers in escrow and I was in Italy with my wife for 2 weeks. I didn't tell them I was in Italy. And I'll go more into that because the only reason I do it is I have 4 people that impersonate me in my CRM. So that's been my secret sauce. There's 4 people that are constantly looking at my CRM communication saying, sure, John, we can go see that home. What do you want to see that home? Oh, what about this house? Like, so I remove myself from the day-to-day, like, what home do you want to see? But I did my listings in a 2-step process. So I would get on there and say, listen, doing this for, at that time, 16, 17 years. Now I can say 20, but like, there's only 5 ways to sell your house that I have found it. Let's not talk for sale by owner. If you want to do that, God bless you, do it. I'll support you. But if you want to work with me, here are the 5 distinct ways I can do it. They're very different. And if you're listening, I'll just rattle them off. It's like, we can go traditional MLS. This is what it looks like. And I go through, it's kind of like a Foursquare of like a car salesman. I never was one, but I'm putting them in like, this is what you would net. These are the pros and cons. Option 2, I can give you a cash offer tomorrow. Pros and cons, here's what you would net. Option 3, I can get Open Door, OfferPad, Homey, Knock. All of these companies will buy your home as an iBuyer. Here's the pros and cons. Option 4, I can flip your house for you. I flip a lot of houses. I am happy to do a joint venture with you where I put in all of the money. My contractor does the work. This is my fee. It's a little bit higher, but this is what you'll net. If you want to flip your house, let's do it. Option 5, we can go creative. We could do a subject to, we could do an assumption, we could do a seller carryback. Which of those 5 appeal to you? So John, the whole conversation becomes about how we do this and why I'm the guy for that versus, well, let me tour you through my home so I can get the price from you. Like, how many times have you been in a home? You're like, this person just wants me to give them a value for something other than selling their house, right? So we totally remove that. And we dive deep into what they really want and why and how they're going to do it. And then I have a buy before we sell program. Do you want to buy first, sell second? Can I give you the cash to bridge the gap? Can we make you a cash buyer? So you just provide all these solutions and they're like, okay, this is what we really want. And now we're just talking about what they really want, what their desires are, what their pain is, why they're doing this. They just feel free to open up because they're not putting on this show of entertaining you in the house, right? Like, we're comfortable to go tactical and to get into their real why. And then depending on their answer, I go, great. So if you want to joint venture flip the house, my contractor needs to come out and see it. And he's going to do a full report. And then he's actually a home inspector as well. So he'll do a home inspection. You'll pay for that. So I get some skin in the game. If they want to do a joint venture flip with me, they pay him $300 to do a full inspection. I get the inspection report. I get the photos. I haven't seen a house. And I go, great. And then my second call would be, this is what your home is worth today. And here's your inspection report. If we put $45,000 into it, this is what I think we would sell it for. These are the fees. And then boom, we're on the market. We're doing work. I've never seen the house. Oh, we want to go traditional MLS. Great. I'm gonna have my photographer run out there and do a quick Matterport for me. It's $85. And he'll do a Matterport 3D scan and I'll get it back. I'm like, I can see your house and we'll get on the Zoom and I'll Matterport with them instead of doing the iPhone, which I think could save me some money. But I like getting somebody else to the house right away because they feel like we've started the process.
Yeah.
Right. And then, so depending on how they're going to do the real estate, it's either a contractor, inspector, or the Matterport idea. Just my guy will run out there and shoot it for $85.
Yeah.
And that led me to do almost 60 grand a commission. And I never went to see the houses. I was like, well, if it worked for a summer, maybe it'll work for a season. Maybe it'll work for the whole year. And now, John, the only reason I go to houses is to buy them. Like if I think there's an opportunity, and I've picked up 16 doors by doing that, by going out and be like, you have a 3.25 interest rate. What if I gave you 40 grand more than you were thinking? And you give me the house, you give me the mortgage. And so now that is my selfish motivation. It's good for them. They're getting more money, but now I'm building a portfolio and those were deals that were going to my agents because I was like, I don't want the physical constraint of being in Arizona. So you take it, you take it, you take it. And a lot of these agents weren't looking for those opportunities. So I'm building my portfolio by being back in production. Right. And I'm serving people. And John, like my time on task, it's hours. I bet my average transaction, I'm making between 2,500 and 3,000 an hour when you put a stopwatch to it. Right. So I don't communicate to my clients unless it's a big deal. So to kind of break down, and this is what leverage agent is. This is what I do. I will train VAs. So I use 4 virtual assistants and 1 American employee who is my transaction coordinator. But the role of my 4 VAs from all the other tasks and things that they do, their primary role is to intercept my CRM messages and respond when they can and bring it to me when it needs to be brought to me. So I'm only really communicating with them versus this CRM with 35,000 people in it. They're the ones that are sifting through and saying, so when I was in Italy, we're on a 9-hour time difference. What can I do on a 9-hour time difference? But I had somebody go tour. I had 3 different buyers touring properties. And when they would say, Dave, we want to see this property, Dave would respond as a VA that says, great. What time do you want to go see it? 3? Great. John is going to meet you there. So we use a company called Shawami. I don't know if you've heard of it, right? But we have 1,500 realtors in the Valley that will go open up a door for $44. Yeah. So that is exclusively what I do. When I meet with people, I'm super clear. I don't open doors. I don't go out there, but I love to negotiate like crazy. I want to get you a crazy good deal, not overpay. If you buy or not, I don't care. I take away the sales guard. Like, buy or don't buy. This is for you. I'm never asking them at the end of the showing, do you want to buy? Do you want to buy? I let people buy. I'll tell people, so you sell houses? No, I empower people to buy if they want to. Yeah. Like my people feel they don't feel the sales pressure. And when they go, Dave, we like this house, my VA will say, great, here's my calendar. When can we jump on a call to discuss it? They book me a call. And they're like, John wants to talk about buying this property. Here's the CMA. We've reached out to the agent. They don't have any offers, or they do. So it's all teed up like a dentist walking in and be like, all right, I guess I'm pulling this tooth today. Right. But all the work was done by somebody else. So that's, for me, that agent to CEO really came alive, not by running a team of 13, but by me just being that in production and having 5 people support me. It really felt like a company versus a team leader, right? Where I'm like, do this, do this. If they don't do it, I fire them. So now I have only people that work for me I could fire, versus how do I motivate you to get out of your own way to start selling real estate? Like, that is a tough gig, isn't it? To motivate the unmotivated?
Not possible.
Holy cow, it's hard. So that's my journey, man, is like, and so having 5 kids and wanting to travel, like, I can't tell you how many deals I've sold now in Disneyland where I just got to jump in for 5 minutes and I can read my CMA. I've trained my VAs how to do that. They've teed it up. All I have to do is hit call and be like, John, I understand you're working on 2 offers, and where do we need to be to get this done? We're going to be great to work with, but can you give me any help to know where we need to be? You know this. Agents be like, well, we're at we're at 550 on this one, 560. If you guys could come in at 565 and waive this, the deal's yours.
All I can do is ask. They'll tell.
Right. And I go to the buyer. I'm like, I'm not saying this is what you need to do, but if you want this house, this is what it is, because I got this agent to tell me where it is. If you want that, great. If you don't, think about it. We can move on to the next home. And they're like, no, we want it. Boom. I shoot about a 90-second video. Talk to John. This is the deal. This is what we're doing. Write it up with this, 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 and this. Send it off. Offer comes back in my inbox. I'm like, that looks good. Send it. I'm back on a ride at Disneyland, and we put a home in escrow. Like, that is the life you can run if you have enough people to do this with. So people will come to me. I'll speak on a stage, and they're like, that's amazing. I sold 6 homes last year. How do you get me to 60? It's like, do you have people to talk to? Because if you don't, my method is not that great. But I have taken people from 20 sales to 70 sales because they weren't prospecting, because they were driving around the valley, driving around, opening doors. So my catchphrase is like, stay at the cash register. Like, right here in my office, this is my cash register. This is where I stay. And I compare it to like a Starbucks. Like, if you walked into a Starbucks and there was one person, how many drinks do you think they're going to do? And what is that line going to look like? And how soon am I leaving when I see that there's 8 people in line and that person's doing everything? So if I could just ring up the order, let somebody else pull the shot, let somebody call out their name, let them bake the food, let them go get ice when they need ice, I deliver a way better experience, and my clients are happy, and I'm just going to make a lot more money. So I finished last year at $1,050,000 of GCI, and I kept 85% of it without opening the door. That's all in. That's cost of sale. That's advertising. It is such a lean way to run a business, and you have maximum freedom.
Yeah, it is. That's amazing. And I mean, off the chart, numbers there, but I think that analogy, right? We've all heard, be the pilot, be the dentist, right? Kind of the ones we always talk about, hands and mouth, right? That's where the money's made. But the thing that is, stay at the cash register. And that's such a great thing, because we've all been in those experiences. We're like, what? They need some damn help around here, right? This person can't do it all. And that's what typically what a lot of agents, they try to do it all because they believe, well, I need to do this. I need to save it. I can't afford to invest over there. It's like, but you're not at the cash register taking orders. Like, you're like kind of getting that concept. So that's fantastic. No, I mean, absolutely it is. And you're so right. I think it's, obviously right things, right order, and business is only 3 things, right? It's traffic, conversion, fulfillment. And, really the highly leveraged on the fulfillment, you're at the cash register on the conversion. And so it's just making sure, we got enough traffic. And, the question that I always ask when I go into any room with a bunch of agents, and everybody's hand is up, is I need more leads, right? I need more traffic. I need more opportunities. So, it's sexy to figure out all the leverage, but if you get the leverage, then you got the time to figure out the traffic. So
exactly, you could then go do a bunch of open houses. I've got a kid. I call these guys kids, and they're probably 30, and they're probably mad that I call them kids, but right. Dude, he's clearing a $200,000 a month. I've got another kid clearing $100,000 a month, and they both did it differently. But what was similar with them is they stayed at their cash register. One of them did a massive amount of open houses, and they've got 5 in escrow from one open house that they did like for 4 days straight, and that was their cash register. And so other people were showing their buyers while they stayed at the open house. So pick your poison, like pick your heart. How do you want to do this? The other guy pounds the phones all day. So if you eliminate, and it's funny you say pilot, in my buyer presentation, I have a picture of an airline with the crew on the tarmac. And I'm like, I am the pilot. And I do that analogy. Dave's the pilot. I have 1,500 flight attendants. They show the houses. And then I have my air traffic controller. That's my coordinator who's going to.
Great analogy of it.
So they're like, I'm like, you're going to have a great experience. Now, if I was loading up your bags and I was scanning you in, how many flights do you think I could fly in a year? So I fly a lot of flights. I see the market. But because we put the leverage in place, both these agents went from like okay businesses to like John, like one is closing like almost 200 deals because we put the leverage in first, and they went from 40 to 200 because they realized oh, if I just stay at the cash register, I'll blow it up. But they were willing to put in the work. And so I've run about 100 agents through this program. And it's crazy. Those that are willing to embrace the grind of lead gen are going to blow it up. But if you won't, it doesn't matter what kind of leverage you have. I've seen people leverage themselves into bankruptcy because they're like, I just want to drink by the pool all day. Cool. But like if nobody's calling your leads, you're in trouble. But so that's my mindset shift is your value is not in opening the doors, going to home inspections, going to closings. And if you can communicate that and your consumer agrees with you and they give you that permission, I get permission. John, is there any reason this would not work for you? I don't go to these and I won't even go to your home inspection because I respect you too much to be at your home inspection. I think the average realtor goes to a home inspection to protect their commission and to get you to move forward. I want you to be there alone with the home inspector and say, should I cancel? And he's not looking around the corner for me.
For the agent.
For the agent. So I'm not going to be there because I respect you too much. And once you get that permission and you realize that's what the consumer actually wants, like I've had too many people say, I wish you guys would just stay in the car. I hate having to walk through the house with my wife and you saying, this is the ceiling, this is the floor, this is a window. Like, get away from me. Let me just look. Right. And I think if the average agent understands that, you can sell a lot of real estate and then you can do it from anywhere on the planet. And that's just my passion and purpose. I want to have my kids have experiences with me growing up. And I don't want it to always be in Arizona. So how do I do it? I either grow a team and I rely on the conversion of others and I lead and grow them. And I did that for many years and it was great, but it's not as profitable. And I love pouring into my people. And honestly, I love pouring into people that want to join arms with me at EXP and do the work. And they're like, you run your thing, I'll run my thing, and let's do this together. So it's been amazing, dude. Like getting this, and the secret sauce for me is that VA component, right? So that's what I do for people. I will find a VA, place them. We train them for 80 hours. They sit with my VA staff. And here's what's cool. This is what I didn't realize. Do you know how much better they learn when they could be trained in their native tongue of Tagalog instead of English? I did not know that was even something I was providing. But when I started getting feedback, all the VAs were like, to be able to do the training in our native tongue was everything. It sped it up. So like when people engage with me, we'll find that VA, they'll screen 8 or 10 of them. And then we're like, here, they just spent 80 hours with us. They know your follow-up system. They know your CRM. They know how to communicate the way I do. And it's taken all this pressure off of realtors to try to find, hire, and train. Yeah. And now that's my passion. It's like, let me find you somebody who knows how to run my system. And now you stay at the cash register if you're willing to do it. But how many people, you've coached so many agents, how many agents don't really want to stay at the cash register? And sometimes they just want to go out and tour houses to feel better about themselves.
Yeah, right? They want to stay busy, right? They want, they're in motion, so they feel like they're doing something. And it's really nothing that's moving the needle or going to make the cash register ring. And so, being able to understand truly what matters the most in this business. And I remember one of the very first masterminds that we held, we were in Aspen. And I remember after the session, we sat up there after dinner one night in the room. And this is the Jeff Cooks of the world, the Lars Hedenborgs of the world. I mean, this is the room, right? And we're in here, after dinner, and we're breaking down because, at that time we were trying to figure out what was the, making the agents, really, how we, need to pay them, right? What's really the most valuable. And we're walking through the whole process. Okay, well, if we're providing the lead, they get the lead to the follow-up, to the conversation, to opening the door, to showing properties, to we broke it all the way apart. And it's like, there's only just a little bit that really matters, man. It's not that much of it. And so I think understanding what are just the couple activities that, and the question is, where do I change the outcome? Right. Yeah. Like if you can just get clear, okay, what is my cash register? My cash register is where I change the outcome. And once you understand where that is, that's where you spend your time and you build it all around. Just like the examples you gave is like I change my personality is I'm great face-to-face. I change the outcome at an open house. I change the outcome when I'm on the phone. I'm gangster on the phone. So like that's where my cash register is. So I think knowing your strengths first and foremost,
How
and
you like to lead gen, really, in this business, you're going to die if you don't figure out how you like to lead gen,
yeah,
right?
that's it.
Do you
That's
like
it.
how my camera died and I switched it pretty quickly there?
Hey man, we roll with it. We roll with
Pivoted. That's good. They got a backup. Yeah, I
it.
think that if you want to get to, so there's so many ways to do it. I mean, you've interviewed people like we've got buddies. Like I saw some of my buddies on that intro video that run massive organizations. And what I realized, that's not my strength, John. My strength was I grew a team because in 2015 I had 42 listings on the market with no help.
Yeah.
So it was like knock knock. Broker said you're way behind and you need some help. I'm like, that's fair. You can be my buyer. He was with me for 9 years. So this accidental leadership happened. And if you're a leader, maybe this isn't for you, but I just got real with myself. Like, am I really a leader, or was I really just a very successful agent who needed help? And then that leadership I was being forced into was really robbing me of what I wanted the most with my kids. Like, dude, it would be, I was mentoring these young kids that came in on my internships, and I'm up till 10:30 at night on the phone with them, and my kid hadn't seen me. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Right. And so what I do like, and this may resonate with somebody, like the reason I like working with virtual employees in the Philippines is I can love on them, I can send them gifts, but the reality is we're not going to be spending 4 hours on the phone after a work call, like, and we're not going out to happy hours, we're not doing trips. And so I was really able to detach from that component of my business, which I struggled to detach with. I probably did 6 Disneyland trips with my team that I paid for. Right. My kids are like, well, we want to go to Disney.
Yeah.
So knowing where I wanted to be as a owner and a boss, where I could be really harder, like, hey, I see you didn't have your screenshot monitoring on, so you're not getting paid yesterday. I'm sorry. Like, I had to it allowed me to get tougher to really be a better leader, because I'm a pushover when you really get into my world. And then there's so many ancillaries that have come out of it. Like, one of the coolest things is my best VA. She's my first VA. Not, I shouldn't say best. She is my first VA, and she just left for a 6-week paid maternity leave. And when she called me to say, "Hey, we're pregnant again. This is her first child with me," she's like, "I can only afford to take a week off." And I was like, "Yeah, like, I'm going to give you 6 weeks of paid leave." It's like,
Yeah.
what? And at $4 and $5 an hour, it's a lot easier to do that, isn't it? Like, it sounds like I'm doing something amazing. Now I'm short staffed. I'm having to replace her, interim. But to be able to provide that, I love the perks I can do with my international staff.
Yeah.
Like, the money goes so much further. So it's I think, again, the point there is like, what do you want to do? And I don't judge anybody who are like, no, man, I'm cool making 5% of the commission and having 70 agents, because I love pouring into 70 agents to do it.
Then do
Know your
it.
strength. That was not my strength. Mine was, how do I make the most amount of money and have the most amount of time? Right. It
Yeah.
was just leverage I was looking for, not relationships. I want leverage without relationships. Let's
There you
put it
go.
that way.
It's key, man. I think, like everything you said there, man, is get clear on what it is that you want. And then what are all the ways to build that? Because there's so many different ways, especially in this real estate game, to know, but you got to know what it is, and truly what it is, and where it has to start is it starts with freedom. What is freedom to you? What does that look like? Right. And so it was one of the things that it took us forever to figure out. And I look back, both of us, you're 20, right behind you in the game, and it's one of the things that if I could go back, what I would tell myself starting out would be, what is freedom to you? What does that look like? And are
Yeah.
you designing and building a business that's moving you closer to it and not further away? Because we were building something that was moving us a lot further away, because we were
Yeah.
chasing the accolades. We were chasing number one.
Well,
And
I think, John, like when I went to the NAEA, we went through that freedom worksheet,
yeah,
right? And
it,
I wanted it, but nobody showed me this pathway. All the industry was showing me was build a team, build a team, build a team, get out of production. But nobody was like, do you know that's going to lead you to like way less money and way less freedom?
What's the
But
ripple effect of
if
that?
somebody had presented my method to me, that's what I would have done.
Yeah.
But the industry was like, get a buyer's agent, right? Build this. I think the industry is broken. And that's been my passion. I'm working with a lot of team leaders who I'm teaching them how to sell 60, 70 homes and let their team sell the other 1,000. But when I'm like, listen, I can show you how to sell 60 and it's going to feel like 5, like your
Yeah.
time on task. But I just don't think, John, like we were presented that, right? Like
We
who told
weren't.
me, dude, hire 4 VAs, use Shawami, keep 96% of the commission and don't show houses. I'd have signed up for that.
All
But I
day
think
long.
the industry pushes the
Yeah,
wrong form of freedom. Don't you agree? And
I
then
agree. The
we never
reality of
get
it
there.
though is that there's obviously some bad, but the positives that came out of the pandemic was that it unlocked the global workforce.
Yeah,
Because it forced everybody to go virtual. And so when that became an opportunity to where, oh, I can stay here or I can venture out and work in another country virtually and make exponentially more than I possibly can with my same skill set,
right.
then that's what happened, right? Do I like with your ability to do that from anywhere, like the example of the client that I gave, right? Like, could we have gotten there? Maybe in maybe 10 years. But what happened is that it just collapsed time just like that. And it
Yeah.
unlocked the global workforce. And so now that option is now a reality because I mean we had VAs prior to, but it was just who was there in the company. It was just a horrible experience because
Yeah.
they were keeping half of whatever that we were paying and giving and like they were like people would be like, dude, why would I want to do that when I can go just work here? And so I think
Right.
that was one of the blessings that collapsed time. It opened up the global workforce and what we, especially real estate agents, because so many of them are not business savvy and they don't
Oh,
understand it,
totally. Totally.
is that we have a salary cap, right? We only have so many dollars to put the best team on the field. And so in the past, it was just like, well, let me give it a little bit of here. Let me give me some fragmented help and in bits and pieces of fragmentation. But now when the global workforce was unlocked, the dollars we have, and it's like, dude, I only have so many dollars. I got to put the best team on the field that I can afford.
Right.
And that's the beauty of it, right? And I love what Justin's been able to do, and now having Joel and Moose on board, and really what they're doing. I mean,
That is a game changer. That
they
is
are the game
really
changer.
when I look at that, when I look at my transaction coordinator, 4 full-time VAs, right? My fee into Sphere, dude, I'm under 70,000 for all of that
Yeah,
annually.
yeah,
How, and they're better. Like my last director of operations was like 80 grand. And
yeah,
then I had ISA that was right. So when you looked at your cost to do this, and now I can tell somebody, no, I've got 5 full-time people in my life for under 70, and they're
yeah,
all dynamite.
yeah.
That's hard to do.
That's the thing
That's
too, is
really
that
what unlocked it, right? I think you put your finger on it. Like, so that first year when I made the shift, I cut 600 grand of needed GCI. Like you're
Mhm.
gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone. I dropped 50,000 is all. I was
Yeah.
like, well, that was profitable, right? I was like, little as I know, like I could keep the business going and consolidate so much of it. And yeah, I think you're right. I think it's the global workforce and those guys are on fire over there at Sphere. How many, how many people they're reaching. And I think this is where the industry is moving, right? Like I hear
Absolutely.
so many people like, oh, I do what you do. Yeah, I'm doing what you're doing. But a lot of agents don't want to hire and train. And that's now my passion. It's like, well, let me train them. So they'll go through my 6-week course. I have the VAs run through my 6-week course on everything. So they just understand how we're doing it. And then all my SOPs, I've got like hundreds of SOPs that I'm like, let me just train your VA and then they'll teach you.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I think a lot of agents need. They're not going to pay the price to train and hire. And that's what scares them. And that all of this has led me to that. Like I need to empower agents by training their people, training them, giving them the systems, just turning over like a playbook. Here's a playbook, and we'll actually help you enforce it. Right. That's what agents need.
They do. Inspirational, brother, man. I appreciate you jumping in and absolute fire. It's cool to see, and really what Agent to See It was about, right? The evolution and learning and, making the best decisions we can in pursuit of the freedom that we're after. And so I appreciate you jumping in and,
dude, thanks for having me,
guys. Check it out. Connect with Dave. Yeah, man, if you want to make that shift, hit us up, hit Dave up, hit myself up. We'll definitely get you guys pointed in the right direction. And we'll see you guys.
Yeah, brother.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you.
Good to be with you.
Later.
See ya.